Good
Yes,
morning,
Peter,
ma'am.
good morning. Good morning, Bachchu, good morning. So, 2 days left for your exams. Okay, hypokines, perikines, epikines, you all remember we had done that day. Just identify, let me hide this. See this? But it's written on the top anyways. What is the position of the ovary over here? Topmost, middle, or lowest?
Topmost.
Yes, very good. So this is hypokines. What about this? Same level, higher or lower?
Same level.
See? Yes, almost the same level if you see. They are also growing from here, and the style is also growing from this position. Such kind of an ovary is called?
Half inferior ovary.
Very good. And this is the lowest position that we have. So this inferior ovary and the flower is?
Epigynous.
Very good. So we had already done this. Calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium we had done. Estivation is what we were doing last. This needs to be done once again. See over here. Sepals or petals in a wall just touch one another at the margins, but they do not overlap better. See over here. They're touching each other at the margins. Okay? See. But they're not overlapping each other. Over here, if you see, just touching is taking place, but the petals are not overlapping. Okay, bache? So, Calotropis is the best example, and such kind of estivation is known as which estivation, if you see this and identify? See? Just tips are touching, but not overlapping. This is volvate estivation. Now see. One margin overlaps this side. Iska bhi one is overlapping here. I think this would be more clear for you. You see this? This margin of this petal is overlapping this one. Iska bhi, if you see this is overlapping this one. So one margin overlaps the next one and the next one and the next one and so on. देखो बेटा इसको overlap कर रहा है. इधर की तरफ ये इसके ऊपर है, लेकिन ये वाला petal इसके नीचे है. So this is overlapping this one. In turn, this is overlapping this one, and so on. Such kind of an estivation is known as what is this estivation?
Estivation.
You will find it in lady finger. It's quite common. This is more interesting. Of course, there is overlapping, but there is nothing fixed. Here we had a fixed overlapping. ये वाला एक साइड इसको ओवरलैप करेगा, ये नेक्स्ट को करेगा, ये इसको करेगा, ये इसको करेगा. So on वाला सीक्वेंस था. यहाँ पे overlapping is taking place, but there is no particular direction. If you see बेटा ये यहाँ वाला जो petal है, ये इसको और इसको दोनों को overlap कर रहा है. ये ऊपर आ रहा है, ये इसके भी overlapping है, इसके भी overlapping है. यहाँ पे आप ये देखो ये वाला इसको overlap कर रहा है, but ये किसी को overlap नहीं कर रहा. Clear? So, of course, there is overlapping, but not in any particular fashion. This is known as imbricate estivation, and the best example is Gulmohar, easiest flower to find. ये सबसे वाला interesting है, vexillary, papillonaceous भी कहते हैं इसको. Total we have 5 petals. ये आपको दिख रहा होगा. ये largest petal है, सबसे बड़ा वाला. ये अंदर वाले दो को ओवरलैप करेगा, फिर अंदर वाले दो इससे छोटे हैं, वो सबसे छोटे वाले को ओवरलैप करेगा. ये जो बीच जो बड़ा वाला है, the biggest petal is known as a standard petal. ये जो बीच वाले साइड के हैं, they are known as wings, and ये सबसे छोटे वाले they are known as keel. So remember this standard, wings and keels. चलो इसमें पहचाने. This is the biggest petal. ये देखिए सबको ओवरलैप करेगा ये. What is this petal known as? This is the largest petal. What will you call it as? standard petal. Now this is overlapping these two. ये जो दिख रहे हैं दो. What are these two?
Lateral petals.
Yes, lateral petals or wings. They are going to overlap. ये जो छोटे वाले दो white हैं अभी निकल रहे हैं, ये वाला जो part है सबसे नीचे सबसे छोटे. What are they called?
Interior petals or keel.
Yes, beta. Remember this word keel, often asked in competitions. This is the smallest petal combination in vexillary estivation. So if you see, we had 4 estivations. We did volvate, just tips touching. We did twisted, one overlapping the other, and so on in a regular fashion. Overlapping in irregular fashion is imbricate, and with 5 petals pattern, it is vexillary. Let's move on to adversion. We know, see, this is made up of stamens. Each stamen has this stalk-like structure, ये वाला, which is called as filament, and इसके ऊपर ये swollen part, which is called anther. Anthers are generally bilobed, मतलब एक लोब ये है, लाइन दिख रहा है बीच में आपको, तो ये दो lobes बन जाएंगे, दो compartments. So this is one lobe, this is the other lobe. So we generally say anthers are bilobed. ये इसका lobe है बेटा. Now अगर आप lobes के अंदर देखो तो छोटे छोटे chambers हैं. These are the chambers. They contain pollen sacs. ये वाले chambers, bags हैं ये छोटे छोटे. And what is contained inside them is pollen sac. And pollen sacs के अंदर what is present is pollen grain. Now let's have this structure. This is the stalk-like structure which is called filament. Swollen part is anther. Anther is bilobed. It has 2 lobes. इसको हमने बीच से ऐसे divide करा, एक lobe ये हो गया, एक lobe ये हो गया. Each lobe has chambers. ये देखो 1, 2, 2 chambers. एक इधर chamber, एक इधर chamber. So each lobe has how many pollen sacs? एक, दो. How many pollen sacs are there in each chamber? Sorry, each lobe has how many chambers?
2 chambers.
That means beta anther has how many pollen sacs total?
4 pollen sacs.
Yes beta, each anther will have 4 pollen sacs because अगर आप ध्यान से देखिए 1, 2 इस chamber में है, lobe में sorry, and 1, 2 ये दो pollen chambers इस वाले lobe में है. So total we have 4 chambers, and in these are known as pollen sacs. We call them as pollen sacs because इसमें pollen grain भरा रहता है. A sterile stamen is called as a staminode. Okay, reproductively inactive stamen. We call it as what? What is it called as a staminode? So they should know the difference between sterile stamen and staminode. ये हो गया stamen. Okay, reproductively active, but staminode is sterile stamen. Okay, even if it goes to the ovary, fertilization will not take place. So such kind of stamens, pollen which come from such stamens, they are not fertile. So these kind of stamens are known as staminodes. What do we call them as? Yes, देखो बेटा. When stamens are attached to petals, we call this as epipetalous. Stamen, एक ध्यान से देखो बेटा, stamens ये है आपके stamens हैं, ये बिल्कुल petal से attached है. For example, brinjal. If you see the flower of a brinjal, you will see that these stamens, they are attached to the petals only. Okay, such kind of an arrangement we call the flower as epipetalous, or the stamens are in this position. इसको देखो बेटा. Stamens are not attached to the petals, they are attached to the perianth. So we call them as epiphyllous. What are these called as? Epiphyllous. आप simple ऐसे याद रखो कि if they are attached to the petals, then epipetalous. And if देखो ये epipetalous stamens है, ठीक है, ये देखो ध्यान से. These are not attached to the petals, so आप simply in stamens को बोलो epiphyllous stamens. So epipetalous and epiphyllous. Let me show this to you. See the difference again. If the stamens are attached to the petals, we call them as epipetalous. ये देखो यहाँ पे. And ये क्या है? where they are not attached to the petals, then such kind of stamens, we are going to call them as epiphyllous. They are called epiphyllous. ये लिली में आपको दिख जाएगा. बहुत कॉमन है, ये वाला पैटर्न तो बहुत कॉमन है. कैन यू गिव मी मोर एग्जांपल जहाँ पे आपको epiphyllous अरेंजमेंट मिलेगा? अच्छा, ये कॉन्सेप्ट था. This is epipetalous or this is epiphyllous? एक बार फिर से देख लीजिए. Yes, this is epiphyllous. ये देखिए बेटा, ये बिल्कुल इससे चिपके हुए हैं पूरे के पूरे, बाहर को निकल के आ जा रहे हैं. That means they're not attached to the petals. So we're going to call it as epiphyllous. If you see carefully, ये देखिए, ये बाहर को आ गया है. It is not attached to the petals. So this is epiphyllous. ये पहचानिए. If these are the stamens, देखो, these are the stamens. अगर हम मान रहे हैं ये stamens हैं and ये petals हैं, this is epipetalous or epiphyllous? देखो बेटा, बहुत क्लियर है, पेटल से ही अटैच्ड है. ये देखो, ये देखो, ये देखो. दिस इज epipetalous. Let me see if I have another flower. Yes, children, this one.
Epiphyllous.
This is epiphyllous. What about this? Let us assume that these are stamens, though they are not. But let us assume that these are stamens and these are petals. Then this is again epiphyllous. What do you call them as? Epiphyllous, beta. Take care. अगर बिल्कुल petals के साथ attached है, then we are going to call it as epipetalous. And अगर बाहर की तरफ अलग आ जाती हैं, they are not attached to the petals. ये देखिए बाहर आ गया. It is not attached to the petals. Then this is epiphyllous. Okay, epipetalous, epiphyllous. Come to this. If the stamens in a flower are free, we call it as polyandrous. We are going to call it polyandrous flower. Polyandrous flower stamen. This, if you see stamens, they're free. सब अलग-अलग. ठीक है? Stamens are free. For the example is what?
Lotus.
Yes, बेटा. ये देखिए, ये stamens हैं, ये वाले सब अलग-अलग. ये देखिए कितने सारे हैं, लेकिन सब अलग-अलग हैं. ये एक है, ये दूसरा, ये तीसरा, ये चौथा. किसी से कोई मतलब नहीं. All of them are independent. These flowers are called polyandrous flowers. But if the stamens are united, ये देखिए एक ही डंडी पे है सारे के सारे. ये stamens हैं. All united on one common stalk. Then such a flower is called synandrous flower. तो इसे देखते हैं. If all the stamens are free, सब अलग-अलग हैं, ये देखिए. Polyandrous flower. And if they're united, how they're united? They are on the common stalk. So we're going to call it as synandrous flower. Polyandrous, synandrous. पहचानिएगा, देखिएगा. Polyandrous and synandrous. If you can identify, if I can get more figures for you, where you can identify. अच्छा, ये बताओ. Polyandrous or synandrous? Very quickly, this is polyandrous or synandrous flower?
Synandrous.
Yes, this is synandrous. They are connected to each other. You see, they are connected. इसका बताओ, ये देखो कितने सारे हैं, सब अलग-अलग, अलग-अलग. This is which flower?
Polyandrous.
Polyandrous flower. What is this flower, children? Only one child speaks always. Which kind of a flower is this? Polyandrous or synandrous? Tell me quickly, what kind of a flower? Synandrous flower. बेटा आप लोग बोलेंगे नहीं तो कैसे चलेगा? I don't know. So this is polyandrous. This is synandrous. Synandrous stamens are of many types. ये देखो बच्चों, stamens are united into one bunch or one bundle. ये देखो एक ही bunch में है सारे के सारे, एक ही bundle में. We call them as monodelphous. अभी I had showed you one जिसमें आप थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूज हो रहे थे कि इसको क्या बोले. I'll tell you which one I showed you where you were in a fix की synandrous है, polyandrous ये वाला. देखो दो bunches में है, ठीक है, इसीलिए आप थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूज हो गए थे. If they are all in one bunch, एक ही तरफ है सारे के सारे, monodelphous. Okay, now see this. इसको देखो, ये didelphous है. Stamens are united into two bundles. Okay, अलग अलग, एक ये bundle है, एक इधर अलग bundle आ गया है. But if they united into more than two bundles, ये है, ये है, ये है, so many, then we call them as polyadelphous. Monodelphous, didelphous, polydelphous. ये देखिए monodelphous है, एक ही है, एक ही, आप इसको ब्रांच मानो या कुछ भी स्टॉक ले लीजिए, इस पे एक ही स्टॉक पे दिखाई दे रहे हैं सारे के सारे, तो ये मोनोडेल्फस है. चलिए लेट अस आइडेंटिफाई मोनोडेल्फस, डाइडेल्फस, पॉलीडेल्फस. पहचानो बेटा.
Monodelphous.
यस, दिस इज मोनोडेल्फस. यस,
Didelphous.
यस बेटा. एंड ओवर हियर यू सी देयर आर सो मेनी. इधर भी हैं, इधर भी हैं, इधर भी हैं, इधर भी हैं. So we are going to call this as polydelphous. Is it okay, children? Monodelphous, didelphous, polydelphous. There may be variations in the length of the filaments within a flower. देखो, length of the filament देखो, ये देखो salvia में filament कितना लंबा है, ये देखिए कितना बड़ा है. ओके, एंड mustard में filament कितना छोटा होता है. ये filament हो गया आपका. ऊपर ये क्या होता है, swollen part. What is this? We are talking about, yes बच्चे. So ये anthers हैं. So filament का length is different in different plants. Sorry, different flowers. They've given you an example of salvia and mustard. Salvia में extraordinary long filaments हैं. Mustard में आप देखोगे छोटे होते हैं. So basically just trying to tell you that हर stamen का filament का length same नहीं होता है. Okay. Now see this. Let's move on to the gynoecium part, female part of the flower. It is made up of one or more carpels. Carpel has three parts. We know this. The sticky part, this is what we call a stigma. This long tube is style. And ये नीचे का पूरा जो swelled up part है, this is called ovary. Stigma कहाँ पे है बेटा? Tip of the style, ये receptive surface है. Sticky होता है तो pollen यहीं पे आके fall करता है. This is just a tube style. This connects what? Connects the ovary to the stigma. ये देखो, connect हो गया. Ovary and stigma are connected by style. इसका और कोई काम नहीं है, बस यहाँ पे pollen tube grow करता है बाद में. Ovary, this is the basal part. ठीक है. Each ovary has ovules. Each ovary has what? It has got ovules. देखो इसमें. This is the placenta. ये दिख रहा है, ये जो बीच का पार्ट है, ये cushion like part. ये जो बीच में है, this. To the placenta, these are attached ovules. This entire part is the ovary. And we have a cushion like structure in the middle. ये रहा. This is known as placenta. इसके ऊपर attached होते हैं ovules. What are attached to the placenta are ovules. So if you are talking about the gynoecium, this is stigma, long tube style. This is the ovary. Ovary के बीच में this cushion like structure which is called placenta. इसके आसपास attached है. What are attached? It could be one ovule or it could be many ovules. Depends on different ovaries. We have different ovules. Polycarpillary pistils, pistils with many carpels. Polycarpillary, बिल्कुल वही चीज जो हमने उसमें करा था बेटा. ठीक है. यहाँ पे we are going to call it as apocarpus and syncarpus. If the carpels are free, देखो, then we are going to call it as apocarpus. But if carpels are fused, then we'll call it as syncarpus. Exactly the thing जो हमने उसमें पढ़ा था, कुछ कुछ वैसा. If the carpels are free, what are we going to call it as? Apocarpus. But अगर carpus fused हैं आपस में, then we'll call it as syncarpus. Syn word is always used for fused. Okay, ये याद रखना आप लोग. Syn is generally used for synchronization, syn. So we use it for fused structures only. So carpels free हैं तो apocarpus. And if they are united, ये देखिए ये united है, ये सब free हैं. Okay. And if they are united, we are going to call it as syncarpus. This is again a typical topic, presentation. I told you this central part is what we call as placenta. वापस जाके दिखाते हैं एक बार ओवरी में, ये वाला पार्ट बीच का cushion like structure जिसपे ovules attached होते हैं. Okay. Now how, in what pattern the ovules are attached on placenta, वो भी अलग अलग होता है. That is called placentation. Arrangement of ovules on the placenta is called placentation. It is of many types: marginal, axial, parietal, free central and basal. Let me come one by one to it. ये आपके लिए सिंपल है. पी प्लांट देखा होगा, सबसे इजी है. देखो ये है आपका, ये देखिए बीच में ये वाला प्लेसेंटा. इट फॉर्म्स अ रिज. ये देखिए रिज बन गया, मतलब बीच में एक पार्टीशन सा आ जाता है in the ovary, and ovules are born on this ridge forming two rows. ये रिज बन जाता है बीच में, देखिए दो पार्टीशन बन गया है बीच में. एंड दो both the sides rows में, ये दोनों तरफ rows में we have ovules. So when we are eating pea, we are actually eating ovules only. एंड ये जो हम छीलते हैं ये वाला जो पार्ट है, ये रिज है, जहां से हम मटर को खोलते हैं, ये रिज है. तो ये रिज कहाँ से आया? ये बीच में प्लेसेंटा था, बिल्कुल बीच में ओवरी के. इट फॉर्म्स अ रिज. एंड इसके दोनों साइड पे आप देखो ये ओव्यूल्स दोनों साइड पे हैं. Such kind of a placentation is known as marginal placentation. Margin के दोनों तरफ we have ovules. So that is why this placentation, अगर हम इसको ऐसे समझें तो ये हमारा margin हो गया, इसके दोनों sides पे ovules हैं. So this is known as marginal placentation. अगला देखिए बेटा, what is this? Axial placentation. See for a while, you'll be able to understand a little. देख के ऑब्जर्व करिए. अच्छा चलिए गेस करते हैं व्हाट यू अंडरस्टैंड. Got something? Tell me. Little bit also if you could understand. अच्छा, which is the first presentation we've just done? जिसमें margin के दोनों तरफ.
Marginal.
Yes बेटा, it is marginal. बीच में placenta है and both the sides we have ovules. Marginal placentation. What example we did for marginal placentation?
P.
Yes. Let's move on to axial placentation. Placenta is axial. देखो बेटा, एक्सेस के अलोंग डिवाइड हो गया है प्लेसेंटा. वहां पे सिर्फ ऐसा था, यहाँ पे ऐसे डिवाइड हो गया ऐसे. ओके, एक्सिल एक्सेस बना लिया उसने. इफ यू सी 3 एक्सेस यू कैन सी ओवर हियर. एंड ये अब नॉर्मली ये इसको एक कंपार्टमेंट को बोलते हैं लॉक्यूल. सो वहां पे हमारी बाइलॉकुलर ओवरी था. देखिए कितने लॉक्यूल्स थे, कितने कंपार्टमेंट्स थे? 2 ही कंपार्टमेंट्स थे. So this is bilocular ovary because the ovary was separated by the placenta into 2 locules. अगर आप यहाँ से देखो तो axial axis बनाता है इस तरह से कि 1, 2, 3 more than 2 locules बन जाते हैं. Such kind of an ovary is called multilocular ovary. Okay, and placenta कैसा है? ये देखिए axis बना लिया है and इस axis के along ovules attached हो जाते हैं. ये इसके हो गए, इसके बीच में मतलब लॉक्यूल्स ज्यादा बन गए हैं, 2 से ज्यादा. So such kind of an ovary is known as multilocular ovary. The best example is tomato. अगर आप टमाटो कट करके देखेंगे तो आप ये देखेंगे, ये मार्जिन जो बनी होती हैं, ये 3 वाला जो दिख रहा है ये, ओके, दीज आर द एक्सेस। प्लेसेंटा इस तरह से डिवाइड कर गया है, 3 लॉक्यूल्स बन गए हैं, या 3 से ज्यादा भी बन जाते हैं कई बार, 1 2 3। सच काइंड ऑफ एन ओवरी इज नोन एज मल्टीलॉकुलर ओवरी। एंड इसके बीच में ये देखिए, ये ओव्यूल्स हैं, ये ओव्यूल्स हैं, ये ओव्यूल्स हैं। You can see over here. Again, the same thing. This is the placenta. It is divided along the axis. तो axial placenta बोल देते हैं इसको। More than 2 locules बन गए तो ये multilocular ovary हो गया। And हर locule में आप देख रहे हो ovules हैं। So such kind of a placentation is known as axial placentation. Parietal placentations. Now these are the walls. Let's take this. This is the ovary, पूरा का पूरा. Ovules they develop on the inner walls of the ovary. बिल्कुल periphery part पे, बिल्कुल boundary पे जाके ovules develop करते हैं. Periphery means boundary. Boundary पे develop करेंगे, ये देखिए, but inner wall के side. Periphery पे है, so parietal. Ovary आप देखो कोई chambers नहीं है इसमें, so ovary is one chambered. But कभी कभी एक false septum बन जाता है, एक false partition आ जाता है बाद में. Okay? तो it becomes 2 chambers. हमें लगने लगता है कि इसमें 2 chambers बन गए हैं, but actually it is 1 chamber because it has a false septum. Mustard is the best example for this. Mustard. ये देखो बच्चे, ये ओवरी के आउटर वॉल है, ये इनर वॉल है. तो इनर वॉल के साइड पे ही यहाँ पे ओव्यूल्स डेवलप कर गए. फाइन. सो सच काइंड ऑफ अ प्रेजेंटेशन. पेरिफेरी के टुवर्ड्स है आपका ओवरी जो दिख रहा है, दिस इज unilocular, only one locule is there, only one chamber is there. This kind of a presentation is known as parietal presentation. See the fourth one, this is free central pole. Ovules are born on the central axis, बिल्कुल center पे. Septa are absent, कोई partition है ही नहीं कहीं पे भी. Single compartment है ovary का. Septa are the partitions, there are no partitions. All ovules are on the center only. And there is no partition in the ovary, so no locules are there. Free central, we call them as free central. And the last one is basal. If this is the ovary, so placenta develops at the base of the ovary and a single ovule is attached to it. ये देखो बच्चा, ये placenta develops where? At the base of the ovary, and सिर्फ एक ovule जो है attached होता है, single ovule attached होता है बस उसमें. Fine. ये inferior ovary का example दिया है यहाँ पे. Placenta will develop where? At the base of the ovary. This is the ovary, inferior ovary है. Placenta develops where? At the base of the ovary. ये placenta, it is bearing only one ovule. So this is known as a basal presentation. Okay, let's identify, try and identify. यहाँ पे बेटा कितने locules बन रहे थे?
2.
Very good, 2. So we had ovules on both the sides. Fine. What is this? How many partitions? How many? We have more than 2 locules, no? What is such ovary called as?
Multilocular ovary.
Very good. This is multilocular ovary. If you see how many locules can you see? Tell me. How many locules are there? इसको ध्यान से देखो. 1 2 3. So multilocular ovary है. And axis बना लिया है. Partition septa आ गया है along the different axis. Septa बोलते हैं इसको, ये जो partitions आ जाते हैं. So such kind of a presentation is axial presentation. ये periphery की तरफ inner wall पे ovules develop हो गए. What is this presentation called?
Parietal presentation.
Very good. Over here कोई सेप्टा वेप्टा कुछ नहीं है, सिंगल लॉक्यूल है, सेंटर में जाके ओव्यूल्स ग्रो कर जाएंगे. ओके, कोई पार्टीशन नहीं है, किसी से अटैच नहीं है. So that is why this presentation is known as
Free central presentation.
लास्ट वाला बेटा. बिल्कुल बेस पे प्लेसेंटा ग्रो करता है और एक ही ओव्यूल है. दिस काइंड ऑफ अ प्लेसेंटेशन इज नोन एज
Basal placentation.
basal placentation. Okay, just one child speaks, that's all. So we've got marginal, ये वाला marginal है, margin के along ovules are growing. This one is axile, axis के along grow कर जाते हैं, ये parietal है, ये precentral है और ये basal है. We've got 5 types. ये देखो parts of a flower में. After fertilization, what happens? The ovules they develop into seeds and the ovary it matures into the fruits. ये देखिए ovules they develop into what we call as seeds. Okay, all these ovules will develop into seed and ovary. Once it matures, we call it as a fruit. Fruit is what? It is a ripened ovary. After fertilization takes place, the ovary is ripened. This is what we call as fruit. You will very commonly find it in flowering plants. Please remember, tomato is also a fruit. You call it as a vegetable, but it is a fruit. So, because ये ovary जो है ये ripe होके हम लोग इसको खा रहे हैं, so we call it as a vegetable, but actually it's a fruit only. Fruit formed without fertilization of the ovary is called as a parthenocarpic fruits. There are certain fruits बेटा जहाँ fertilization नहीं होता है but ovary ripe हो जाता है. Without fertilization only fruit is formed. Such kind of fruits are called parthenocarpic fruits. What do you call these fruits as? Tell me quickly. Parthenocarpic fruits. So the special thing about parthenocarpic हमने बोला जब fertilization हो जाएगा तब ovary ripe हो जाएगा तो fruit बनेगा. But in these kind of fruits, what does not take place?
Fertilization.
हाँ बच्चे, it does not take place at all. So such kind of fruits जहाँ पे fertilization होता ही नहीं है, but ovary जो है बन जाता है fruit, ripe हो जाता है basically, and हम उसको fruit बोल के खाने भी लग जाते हैं. Such kind of fruits are parthenocarpic fruits. See this example, let me show you over here. पहचान लेते हैं banana. Banana is a parthenocarpic fruit. इसमें और कुछ दिखाया नहीं है. Grapes are parthenocarpic. Oranges are parthenocarpic. Cucumber is parthenocarpic. Pineapple is parthenocarpic. So यहाँ पे they have given you the examples of bananas. In mango and in coconut, mango and coconut, the fruit is called a drupe. In mango and in coconut, these are little different fruits. We call them as drupes. Why do we call them drupe? Because they have just one seed and they develop from monocarpellary superior ovaries. Monocarpellary. Okay, just one. We don't have any locules in the ovary. There is only one part in the ovary and the seed is also one only. So such kind of fruits, what do we call them as? Drupes. And remember, drupes are always formed from superior ovaries. Superior ovaries अगर याद होगा जिनका position सबसे high होता है, बाकी सारे organs नीचे होते हैं. These kind of ovaries are called superior ovaries. So drupes के बारे में बेटा दो चीजें याद रखिए. They are one-seeded and they have superior ovaries. तो ये तो parthenocarpic fruits में आ गया. ये normal fruits हैं जिनमें क्या होता है? Ovary ripe होता है and we generally eat them. This is a drupe. Drupe means it has one seed and it develops from superior ovaries. अगर आप इसको देखो बेटा फ्रूट्स का पार्ट अगर देखो तो फ्रूट वॉल जो होती है, वॉल ऑफ द फ्रूट नॉर्मली देखा होगा वो ड्राई और फ्लेशी होती है. थिक एंड फ्लेशी पेरिकार्प इज डिफरेंशिएटेड, उसको हम पेरिकार्प बोलते हैं. द आउटरमोस्ट वॉल ऑफ द फ्लावर फ्रूट इज कॉल्ड पेरिकार्प. इट इज अगेन डिफरेंशिएटेड इनटू 3 पार्ट्स. जो बाहर वाला है उसको एपिकार्प कहते हैं. ये फिर थोड़ा अंदर जाइए, ये मीजोकार्प है एंड सबसे अंदर वाला पार्ट आपका एंडोकार्प. मैंगो को अगर आप देखो तो जो पेरिकार्प है वो बहुत क्लियरली डिफरेंशिएटेड है आपका. जो बाहर का छिलका आप मैंगो का हटा देते हो वो एपिकार्प है. जो पार्ट आप मैंगो का खा लेते हैं वो मीजोकार्प है. एंड जो अंदर आप हार्ड वाला जो पार्ट जो आप थ्रो अवे कर देते हो सीड बोल के उसको, वो एंडोकार्प है. ये सारे ड्रूप्स की कंडीशन है. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट ड्रूप्स नाउ. See, this is the epicarp, पतला सा जो लेयर है बाहर का. Then what do we do? इसके बाद the part which we are eating, that is what we call as mesocarp. Okay, mesocarp. फिर आता है आपका स्टोनी हार्ड एंडोकार्प. अगर आप एंडोकार्प को ब्रेक करेंगे तो उसके अंदर सीड होगा. आप सीड नहीं देख पाते हैं, आप जो हार्ड वाला पार्ट शो कर देते हैं, दैट इज एक्चुअली एंडोकार्प. एंडोकार्प ही अंदर, व्हाट इज इट? इट इज सीड. लेट्स सी इन दिस आल्सो बेटा, इफ यू सी, ये वाला जो बाहर का बहुत हार्ड पार्ट है, ये एपिकार्प हो गया. जो बीच का आप खाते हो कोकोनट edible part, that is mesocarp. So such kind of fruits we've already done, they're called as drupes. देखिए mesocarp husk हो गया. Husk you know ना, what is the husk of a coconut, you know? पहले बेटा हेयर पुल आउट करते हैं, बाहर हेयर लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स होते हैं. कोकोनट में देखा है हेयर लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स होते हैं.
Yes,
तो
ma'am.
पहले आप, yes, so you first pull out that hair like part, तो outer layer हो गया. हेयर पुल आउट करने के बाद फिर एक हार्ड वाला शेल आता है, that is the meso part. And then what you are eating is the inner part, that is the seeds. In a mature, what is seed? अभी हमने पढ़ा था fruits are actually mature ovaries or ovules. Fruits.
Ovary.
Yes. And seeds are mature ovules. बस ये last slide करेंगे. Seed is made up of this outer covering which is called seed coat. Okay. And an embryo. We have a seed coat and we have an embryo. Embryo is made up of, I think याद होगा, जो नीचे को ग्रो करता है वो रेडिकल है. ये एक्सिस है आपका. जो ऊपर ग्रो कर रहा है, what is this known as? This is known as
Plumule.
plumule. And we may have two cotyledons. और dicots में we have two cotyledons. Example gram and p. यहाँ पे देखिए बेटा, ये बाहर वाला जो है ये सीड कोट है. फिर इसके अंदर एक और लेयर है which we call as the alurone layer. This layer is known as alurone layer. अभी I'll be coming to this part. अभी इसको अंदर से बताएंगे. इसको अभी मत देखिए, अभी सिर्फ इतना देखिए. That's all for today. ये mature ovule है. It will develop into seeds. It is made up of what? It is made up of seed coat. And ये embryo है. Embryo again, we have a radicle, we have a plumule, and we have an axis, embryonal axis. I'll explain it to you when we take up seed tomorrow. See, let's not start with it today. That is all we've done today. We did fruits के बारे में. Fruits are ripe ovaries. We talked about parthenocarpic fruits. Then we also did another word, groups याद कर लेना. Superior ovaries हैं. ये देखिए, this is the parts of a flower. Basal, precentral, ये वाला कौन सा था? Parietal. And this one was axile and this is marginal. Charlie, that's all. You hardly have 30 seconds. Let's meet tomorrow, dear. Okay? God bless you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, Bye.